Today I'm going to be going over part 3 of my ayahuasca experience that happened and how this week got me to unlock a part of my gifts that I didn't even know about. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the channel. I am Sheik, your conscious mentor, and today we're going to be deep diving into part 3 of my ayahuasca experience. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, I will leave the playlist here so you can be part of that. But I've been really loving all of your feedback and how many of you guys have said that this has allowed you to step into the call of doing plant medicine, or maybe you've also felt called to do ayahuasca and you're feeling inspired by these videos. So it makes me so happy because I will be continuing to talk about my ayahuasca, how it shifted my life, and building a relationship with this plant, as I personally feel so connected to her, especially after this 3rd night that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So go get your snacks, make sure you pause at this point, get your snacks, get your tea, and come and chat with me. Before we get into the video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe as well as put notification bells. I do 3 or more videos every single week for you beautiful, amazing souls, and for you not to miss any live meditations and amazing lives, and just be part of our family because we are manifesting 1 million souls to support here on the channel. And today's subscriber of the day is Sarah Miller. Thank you so much for being part of this family. If you feel called to do shadow work, you can apply for the conscious mentoring down below. Let's get into the story time video. So like I said, if you guys have not seen this last videos, go watch them because it really gives you a notion of where I was at this point. I believe the last time I chatted with you guys, I just finished my day cup of ayahuasca, and that really ripened the experience for me. And at this point, after I woke up, which was the last time that I kind of left off with you guys, I woke up, I came upstairs because it was quite quiet, and then I saw everyone eating dinner. So I literally woke up right when dinner was being served. And there was a sense of just like silence and understanding without words in the space. It's so hard to explain, but for some reason, this point of the ceremony of our weekend was probably one of the most memorable times for me because we were all sitting down, sharing a meal after going through a lot of purging and releasing and going through our own personal growth, and being able to have every single one of us being in that room together for the same reason. And that's one of the beautiful things about when you go to these ayahuasca experiences, at least through my experience, is everyone's there for different meanings. Maybe it's to release trauma, maybe it's to connect with yourself. It could be any reason, but it really allows you to connect back to your essence, to who you are, and to understand more about where you've been and how you've been there, and how to heal and forgive yourself and other people. And it's hard, it's doing the work. Like I said, this is not a retreat that you just go and have amazing visions and that's it. Ayahuasca is meant for you to do the work, and she knows that, but she does it in such a loving way that you completely surrender with her. So at this point after dinner, we had about 4 hours left, which sounds a lot, but because we, like I said, we did our ceremony around midnight, usually the Colombian way for our ayahuasca retreat. But I had so many great conversations with a lot of the people that had similar experiences with me. One of the girls literally were in the same boat as me and ended up talking about her experience, and through that it was very healing. I personally didn't journal too much. I had planned on journaling, but to be honest, doing these videos with you guys and sitting down chatting with you is my journaling, because there's just so much that comes through. It's better for me to talk about the experience. I feel like that's therapeutic alone. So like I said, that is also part of the retreat. It's not only just going there and deep diving into it. At this point, I'm also noticing how many connections I have with other people in this room, and to strangers that were strangers, but were never really, if you really think about it, because we're all collectively connected. So fast forward to coming up to the ceremony, I'm thinking about my intention, and I'm kind of going over my notes that I talked about on my first video of what my intention was. And I really don't have an intention at this point. I'm just feeling, I want to go into this. I know my 3rd night is a big night. I have a feeling about it. My intuition's telling me this, but I just don't know what exactly. As we're about to prepare, one of the facilitators, I would say he's a facilitator because he has did out of over 120 ceremonies, and he's kind of the person that goes to these retreats, this specific retreat often. So he's there to help the people in the space. If, say, the shaman is busy or whatever, you can always go to him. And he just makes you feel so much at home. He is also taking the medicine with us. He's participating in it, but he's just someone that has a lot of experience with Mama Ayahuasca. So we're talking about it next, and we're just all sitting in a circle, and the shaman tells us that we are going to be doing a plant called yopo. And when I heard it, as you know, I'm interested in it. You know, throughout the day after ayahuasca, I ended up taking sinanga, which is what you put in your eyes to help clear the eyes, which I don't know if I told you guys about that, but I did that and it stinged. I want to do a whole video on each one of those plant medicines, because now I am taking them throughout my days to help me and to connect with the plant, and to also connect and help support people that I mentor with these medicines as well, because there's just so much knowledge, especially with plants from the Amazon. And then I also had an experience of doing hape again, which I'll go into. But all this to say is that we're talking about the yopo, which I'm like, what's yopo? And everyone kind of like, half of the people are kind of looking at each other like, okay, like yopo is the real deal, you know? And then the other half are just kind of like, okay, what's yopo? Like me, curious. So they talk to us about it and they say it is very intense, and how you take it is like hape. So you sniff it. What is yopo? Yopo is the seeds from one of the most tallest plants in Ecuador. And these seeds, like, people actually climb up. It's like as tall as a how many story like condo where this yopo is found. And locals will climb up this tree to get the seeds, bring them back down, and you crush it into like a paste powder like hape. Now, when you facilitated it, it's very, very important you take yopo with a shaman that knows about this medicine, because it is very powerful. And they said it opens you up to various dimensions. You start to feel this deeper connection. Yopo only works when mixed with ayahuasca, because on its own, it doesn't do this, but when it mixes with ayahuasca, that can really be a healing experience. So this is a big part that I always tell people. Any plant, ayahuasca, shrooms, whatever it is, one thing I will tell you right now is if you're feeling called to a certain plant, they're communicating with you already before you even have taken them. That's what happened with me with ayahuasca. Like, for many, many years, I was dreaming about it. I was noticing about it. I was really connecting with her, but I didn't know when it was happening. I just knew I'm going to meet this plant and I'm going to end up trying it and experience it. It didn't tell me exactly why, but it was important for my journey. So fast forward to that. And he said, what I will do is during the ceremony, if you choose to want yopo, I will ask at the beginning. And for those, I will keep, I'll keep that in mind. And when I offer it to you, I will really go based on energy. And that's the beautiful thing about this shaman, is he's so intuitive and he knows what he's doing, and him and his wife are just so knowledgeable. And I trusted it right away. I've trusted since I stepped into this door. So I was like, yeah, okay. My intuition's telling me to go and check out yopo. There's a reason why. But then at the same time, there was a bit of fear that came through. So I pushed that aside. We decided to go down to our ceremony space, and everyone gets comfortable. I have my water beside me. I have my best friend, which is my bucket for purging, which is always beside you at all times. And, everyone's just settling in. Then ceremony starts. We first start with hape, like we did with our past ceremonies, and deep blow it through our nose to help us just clear our mind, clear our ego, and allow us to center into our intention. And at this point, again, I still don't know what my intention is. So I'm thinking, like, how am I supposed to make this last night so powerful if I don't know what my intention is? But I also knew that if I didn't have an intention, there was a reason why. Universe was trying to give me a reason why. So we ended up going with our first cup, each being called each one by one. And when I got to the shaman, he said, Chica, I really hope that you got all the experience that you wanted through this. And when he said that, it just really made me think in a way and say, you know, I think he knows what I'm thinking. I think he's expecting, he feels energetically from me that I'm here, there's no intention, but just trust is really where I was getting from him. So I took my cup, and it's funny, at this point, the ayahuasca tasted so bad to me. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just meant like the first 2 times, the first day, the second, or day's cup tasted so much better than this one. I don't know if my palate was changed or what it was, but if you guys have had ayahuasca before, let me know how you enjoyed the taste of it. But at this point, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I guess my body was just kind of off, or maybe it was still processing the medicine before. I go lay down, and I'm really tired because the past couple of days I haven't been sleeping much. I've been staying up, I've been doing ceremony. So I start laying down, and then all of a sudden my body starts to get cold, and I'm like, oh no, here we go again. Because when it gets cold, usually for me, at least my experience, that means that I'm about to hit a fear. And at this point, I was just feeling scared, and I was seeing my younger self scared, but I didn't know what it was scared of. It was just cold and scared. And then that's it. Then the medicine, it felt like it wasn't working at that point. So I started getting frustrated. And this, I want to share this with you guys because one of the lessons I learned at this point is it is very important for you to surrender to the medicine or any plant medicine that you're doing without expectation. But because I was putting so much expectation on myself and what to expect, the medicine was not working in my favor. So I sat there, I ended up falling asleep. I don't even know for how long, but all I remember is I was sitting there saying, why isn't the medicine working? Why isn't the medicine working? Why isn't the medicine working? So sat there longer, and I can feel the energy of everyone else purging, and I didn't purge. I didn't feel like vomiting. I didn't feel sick. I just felt normal and just very in tuned is the best way of explaining it. I felt different temperatures throughout my body, but I didn't feel anything else. So then at this point, I'm like, okay, it's been probably halfway through the ceremony. I should probably go take another cup. So this is technically my 4th cup of the weekend. I go up, I take my cup, and I'm sitting there, and then I feel like I'm about to purge. So I take my best friend, my bucket. Your bucket is your best friend. You bring it everywhere you are. It was right beside me. I brought it here, and I don't vomit. I don't purge. So I'm sitting there with my bucket just being like, why am I not purging? Like, and now anger starts to trigger. But what I didn't know until now, sharing this with you guys and talking about it, is these emotions were things that were showing that we're about to be purged. It was like subconsciously, I was feeling what I was going to see before I saw it. And a lot of my experiences up to this point was not as visual as what people were saying, like the whole matrix thing and multicolored. Like, I wasn't seeing that. I was just seeing little visions here and there, and they weren't intense like that, you know? And again, no ceremony is a wrong ceremony. It is dependent on what Mama Ayahuasca wants to show to you. It depends on the work that you've done before. You know, you have to keep that in mind when you are going into the ceremony. So I'm dry heaving, almost about to, like, feeling like I'm gonna vomit, but not vomiting. So I'm like, what is going on? And then eventually I sit there and I lay down, and I felt nauseous. I just felt like a good hour of nauseousness without vomiting. So I'm like, okay. And it felt like something was going on in my stomach, but I didn't know what exactly it was, okay? So then all of a sudden I hear a voice telling me, Yopo. And I was like, oh, we're going down that route. We're gonna take some Yopo today. Because I didn't tell you guys this part, but when we were about to go in ceremony, one of the people said, oh, Yopo. Well, one thing that they didn't tell you about Yopo is it makes you purge very, very, very intensely. But the reason why they didn't want to tell us this was because the moment you say that, you put fear into the medicine, and the medicine will put fear into you, and you will just have this experience, right? So they didn't tell us that part, and I feel like it was the best decision, because if I did know that, I feel like I wouldn't have been so open to it. But when I did get told that before ceremony, I was like, well, I've already said yes. I've already followed my intuition. Maybe for other people, they pulled away, but for me, I was set subconsciously already. So I sat there and I was like thinking, why are you saying yopo? I've taken 2 cups. I'm not feeling anything. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I really want to connect. I've really took my time to cleanse for this medicine. Why isn't it happening, right? So I'm just like, what's going on? Like, what is the world? Like, I don't understand. So at this point, I hear it again, yopo. Like, I hear it being spoken in spirit, Mama Ayahuasca sharing it to me, and I was like, okay. So I get up, and when I get up, the interesting part is that's when I start to feel my body very heavy, and I started to walk towards the shaman. And there was another girl in front of me, and I sat there on the cold floor waiting, and I remember being like, oh no, I'm not doing yopo. Like, it was like my ego self, my shadow self was like, Shika, you're crazy. You're not doing yopo. You came to this ayahuasca retreat and it's not gonna happen. It was like all of the doubts that I told myself for many things just started to flood through. And when I knew that, knowing the shadow work that I did up to this point, I was like, oh, I'm meant to do this. Like, this is a test. This is a test that I'm meant to do it. So then as soon as it was my turn, the shaman like automatically was like, okay, Shika, so this is how it works. You sniff it through. So it's like hape, but you're sniffing through both noses, and it's like a line of the powdered crushed plant, and you sniff it. So I was like, okay. I'm like, does it burn? He's like, it will burn, but try to inhale as deep as you can, like as deep as you can. So I obviously took a deep breath in, and then he's like, you ready? And I'm like, yeah. And then I sniffed it in. I sniffed it all in one shot. And automatically, I started to cough. My chest started to burn. My nose started to burn. I just felt like I had to blow my nose, but then at the same time, I couldn't because I was trying to keep it all in. And I coughed for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, while this is happening, everyone around me who has done yopo literally 5 minutes before is purging. So I'm like, okay, like, why is this is happening? Shika's focus on you. And this is another great tip for anyone doing ayahuasca. I know it's easy to get distracted by other people, but that's your ego trying to distract you from the work that you need to do. So focus on you as much as possible. Breathing really helped me do that. It brought me to breath whenever I got distracted, and it just really brought me in. So this is the part that got really intense. So all of a sudden, about 2 minutes later, I feel nauseous. Like, think of going on a merry-go-round, being sped up 20 times faster, and feeling like you're gonna vomit, but it's not stopping. That's what it felt like. My body started to get really limp. I started to literally like move like this. My bucket was in front of me, and I'm like, I'm gonna vomit. Like, I'm going to purge. So I sat there and I purged from the depths of my like intestine, my large intestine, all the way up. Like, it was the deepest, most like intense vomit that I've ever experienced. But as weird as it sounds, it felt good because it didn't feel like food. It felt like energy. And I started to vomit, and then all of a sudden this like anger that I felt before and all this like annoyance started to come through, and I was like, something is being triggered here. So one of the things that, you know, the shaman says is when there's an emotion coming through and you don't know what it is, ask your bucket. So I started to ask. I was like asking, and then it started. I vomited again. And then it brought me back to my younger self, showing her being scared. And I was like, okay, we need to figure out, why am I scared? Why do I feel scared? What is scaring me? And it brought me to the being scared of being who I wanted to be. And it brought me back to connecting with my first 2 ceremonies, where I was scared of connecting with being a healer and taking in that identity of a healer and an energy healer, taking in the identity of not being my traumas and letting that go, and being okay with being vulnerable and continuously working. And also that idea as my younger self had of being a perfect person and having certain things that had to be done, like schoolwork and grades, and all these things start to flood through. And it showed both like my masculine and feminine having different expectations. So my mom being very academic and like wanting that, and my dad being very angry, but very like not understanding, you know, like trying to express, but coming from a space of his experience. And I just felt this anger. And then I felt the anger of them and their relationship as they started to build things. And then I also felt, I saw the timeline of me as a younger kid and how I was being treated in a way from being suppressed by my creative energy so much that was done because of the ancestral pain that I was holding on for years and years and years and years that we talked about too. So all of this comes through, and then this is where it gets to a collective experience. One of the guys that were in the ceremony sat in front of me after taking Yopo, and automatically I felt this anger that he had. And I think for him, his releasing was his anger, the anger that he put on people. And at the ceremony, he was a representation of my father, right? So all of a sudden, I started feeling like I couldn't vomit. I started feeling scared to vomit. And that scared of vomiting and purging was coming from me suppressing emotions that I wanted to share. So I started to talk to my vomit. Yeah, I started to talk to spirit. I started to talk to myself, and I was like, Shika, you're here. You're angry. You came here to release the anger for your father. You came here to release the anger that you have towards him and that he has put on you. You came here to not feel that you had a responsibility to be that pillow for your mom, to be there for other people, and always had to put yourself on the back burner. You came here to release anything from your throat, because this was a big part, was speaking out, because there was so much anger from other people held in here and a lot of just like fear based. Then it projectile like vomited again, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the emotion. It's anger, it's sadness, it's that part, it's suppressing emotions that came through. And then Yopo and ayahuasca showed me all throughout my lifetime, my traumas that I went through, of the experiences I had, to me, feeling disregarded as a kid and feeling not acknowledged at school, to me going bullied because of the way I looked, like all these things coming through, to me not really having a safe space. And then it showed my younger self hiding all these parts of me in this treasure chest that she was so scared. She didn't know what to do, so she digged it up and she just hid it. So I had to tell her, it's okay, you're safe, you can do that. Mom and dad love you so much. They just are in so much pain. I forgave with my younger self, my mom and my dad, for all the things that they went through, having the stresses of financing, having the stresses of their anger, having the stresses of their experiences, and putting that on me because they did not feel comfortable releasing it anywhere else. And all that brought me to that moment. So I've purged at this point with Yopo and ayahuasca 3 times. And I'm feeling like, whoa, I'm done. And at this point, divine timing, the shaman tells me, Shika, you're ready, because they want to make sure that we're with them during the time of the purging, because it is so intense. But then the beautiful experience happens. And this is the beauty of ayahuasca. When you are doing ayahuasca, you do the work, but you are rewarded too. And because I trusted her with the help of Yopo, I was able to connect with divine. And that is one of the plus sides of Yopo. You can see geometry, you can get very intense with things, and it makes your visualizations to a whole new dimension. So I'm walking towards my mat, and all of a sudden I start to see these galaxies and codings and letters and hieroglyphics and all this stuff coming at me, like almost like I'm like flying through this universe of different shapes, and I'm hearing voices saying, Shika, you are here, you have unlocked the new treasures of which you are given at this time. And I was like, I'm about to find out like why I'm here. Like, this is my time. This is exactly what I felt, but was so angry. But I had to do that work of purging things first before I can get it. And that's why I tell you guys, with manifestation, with anything, you need to do the work. If you don't do the work, then how can we expect ourselves to receive what we really want in our life, right? So that happened, and I'm laying there and seeing these galaxies and dimensions and worlds and everything, and it's just happening so quickly. And then I literally start to see going into my body and this light of energy unlocking so much coding, i.e. parts of my gifts that are finally given to me. And it's crazy because when I left from the ceremony, which I'll talk about in a bit, I might do another like recap of how I feel after a month. If you guys would like to see that, put a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section. But I saw huge shifts on like my intuition, my connection with my heart, my connection with my soul, like so many deep things. And just my connection with understanding emotions, especially anger. So when that happened, all of a sudden it kind of slowed down, and then I started to see everyone's soul in the room, like moving throughout the space, clearing. It was no people, it was just souls gliding. Saw myself in this light energy. I was not a being, I was out of body experience. I started to see people talking, and then all of a sudden I started to channel, and I've had this channeling before in my shroom experience. I started to channel in Spanish and started to channel all of this life experience of like what I'm meant to do and how I'm meant to talk about plants and shadow work and ancestral work in an educational form to help support people. And these are all things that I knew from birth. These are all things that I was so normal to. I remember, like I said, getting my mom dandelions and giving them to her as a kid and knowing about it. I remember all these little things, like understanding about like when people passed away and how to connect and how to console people, and like hearing things and feeling things. There was reasons because I had to make sure that for me, my intention was to help people so we can all have that grief release, especially ancestrally, which is so important. A lot of our ancestors never really released. They never knew about this space. We're lucky that we have access to this dimension. So that's really what it taught me. And at this time, the person beside me was going through a really hard time. And I saw this energy in my hands. And as soon as I touched their mat, they would stop shaking. And then on the other end was the girl that I told you I connected with. We had the same story, and I saw her going through a lot. And as soon as I touched her mat, she stopped shaking as well. So I saw that in my space, I have a very healing presence that can help a lot of people. And ayahuasca wanted to show me, see, look at what you can give and what we can work with together to help support. Look what we can expand together. And that was so loving. Like at that point, I just felt love for every single person, even those who pained me. I just felt this, like unconditional love is so like times that by 10. That's what I felt. And I just gave her thanks, and I literally said thank you for 10 minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I felt so amazing. Like I was able to see all this geometry and these amazing worlds and understanding what makes this world what it is. That's literally what she told me. She told me about the way that our plants are made. She showed me the way that our earth is made. She showed me the way that our humans are made. She showed me other animals and light forms in other dimensions and what they're doing. She showed me like where our world is gonna need some help and how I'm gonna fit, but other people too. All these things were shown through as soon as I connected with that dimension with Ayopo. It was like all this knowledge that was in our history was shown to me. And then she also showed me the history of my ancestral line and the power and how I'm going to be taking a bit of everything I learned from them, making it to be who I am today. So it was such a beautiful experience, such a profound experience. I am still processing and still have dreams, even like seeing and talking to people, and I hear and I feel things so quickly. It's such a feeling. And I think another big thing that is so impactful as well is when your energy gets unlocked like that, it's like it doesn't go back. And that's why I talk a lot to you guys about energy responsibility. So when I was done that huge amazing experience and connecting, I remember my last words saying thank you for your guidance, and I cannot wait to have another experience with you again. I know from this whole experience, I'm meant to teach with ayahuasca. I'm meant to work with her. And I'm really excited to share with you guys my experiences, but also for my mentees who are also watching this video, to share this with you guys too, because there's so much knowledge that you can gain from yourself and healing that can be done in the knowledge of plants and in the knowledge of your energy and how intuitive it is. Like, think about it. There are people who didn't have technology years and years ago, but knew how to build things without having communication from one another. Consciousness, telepathic communication, those things are a thing. So when I learned about that, it just gave me so much knowledge about the world, the politics, everything that's going on, why we're shifting, and what we're meant to do, which again will be another video that I will go over with you guys. If you're interested, let me know. Put a little "Sheik, I'm interested in learning more about what you saw" down below. I'd love to go into detail because it will be a longer video and we're already at like 30 minutes. I know you guys, I love you guys for watching this video. You know, I love our teas and snacks and chilling, but at the same time, I would love to go in depth with what I really got from her and what is meant to be shared. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that experience. After that, we woke up and then we had breakfast the next morning. It was a really bittersweet experience because the best way of experience of it is like when you go to camp for a summer and then everyone has to go home and it's like you meet all these amazing friends and now it's like, okay, well, like, bye. That's what it felt like. It's like you make these amazing bonds with someone in less than like 3 days. And then you guys are off on your own journeys after sharing such an amazing, intimate experience. And those strangers who became friends saw you at your best, your worst, and everything in between. And it's just such an amazing experience. So yeah, ayahuasca was definitely one of the life-changing experience I've ever had in my life. I would definitely do it again. I am preparing to do another ceremony soon, and I will show you with you guys what that ceremony looks like in another video. So definitely make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And yeah, just really just surrender from the experience. That's the best advice I would give you. Surrender to the experience. Really allow yourself to have someone that you are comfortable doing the facilitating with. And just make sure that you surrender to it and really allow yourself to do the work. The more you do the work before going to Mama Ayahuasca, just like respecting your body and energy, the more that she'll be able to work through you. And just allowing that to be a sacred space within your body to have such a sacred medicine. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as well as put a notification bell so you don't miss another one. So when I do my next ayahuasca experience, you don't miss it. And I really hope you guys enjoyed learning about this and just really getting to know the power that we have in ourselves in this amazing experience. And yeah, I'm really excited to share with you guys my next one because it's coming up soon. So I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.